Hello again, everyone. Welcome back. This is Graybeard. My name's Ron, and welcome to Graybeard's Garage. Got a nifty little project for you here today. You see here, I have my Ultra 2014 Ultra Limited, and over here I have some 14-inch LA Choppers Ape Hangers. Now, I know a lot of folks out there nowadays are going with the meat hooks and all these other ones that have the spikes here. I particularly care for the old school, the more round tops. These bars are the 1.5 inch thicks here. Of course, there's your standard 1 inch. Everything here is set up for the throttle by wire for the newer bikes. The quality on these are pretty excellent. I've done a lot of research and a lot of searching, and this is what I've come up with. I decided to put these LA Choppers on my bike. Here I have the wire extensions for the controls, and also polyurethane bushings to take some of the slop out. If you put the taller bars on like this, you're going to get quite a bit of movement in your bars, and it's highly advisable to go with the polyurethane. Minimal tools used here, probably 1 or 2 other things I might need. Basically a 1/2 inch wrench, excuse me, a Torx driver, and a screwdriver, and something to cut your zip ties with. It's pretty much straightforward. I'm going to see what I can do here to make this as easy and painless as possible and as short as possible. But you can save yourself a lot of money doing this yourself. When I bought this bike almost 2 years ago, I was going to put Ape Hangers on it, and the dealership quoted me with the Harley Mini Apes. They wanted like $1,100 to $1,200 installed, and I'm like, that's crazy. The bars themselves only cost $198. So you're talking $800 plus in just labor. So I'm not playing that game. So we're going to do this ourselves. I'm going to show you. I decided to go ahead and use the wire extensions for the controls. There is a way of routing your wires to where you do not have to get the extensions, but hey, I figured save some headache, and it's only $30 for the extension, so we'll go that route. I'm going to show you how you can use the stock brake line for the front brake and the stock line for the clutch. So I've been doing some research on that, and I found a great source of a video that shows you how you can reroute those lines to where you do not have to change them. That's one of the big costs. You know, when I got that quote from Harley, they wanted new hydraulic line for the brake, new hydraulic line for the clutch, the extensions. It was just insane. I'm not going to pay $1,200 to have a $200 pair of handlebars put on. So according to the research I've done, these LA Choppers, one thing I've noticed no one else has mentioned is that these bars can use the stock heated grips, which that's a plus because I'm spoilt on my heated grips. And these were the only bars I found that actually says you can use the stock heated grips. If you look at the Harley bars and the descriptions, even their own bar says will not work with the stock heated grips. You have to replace them with aftermarket. So that's another $200 or $300 I'm not willing to spend. So I'm going to start tearing this apart. What we're going to have to do first, we'll have to pull this outside cover off in the windshield. There is 4 screws back here in the back side, and then these 3 here. Then this cover comes off, and then we're going to end up pulling the seat off and pulling the tank off, and then we'll have to end up pulling the turn signal out of the way, and then we can get in the nitty-gritty of it. So I'm probably going to do time lapse on most of this. It's pretty straightforward. Many videos out there show you how to do it. Number one thing you need to do before you do anything electrical on these bikes is you have to drop this saddlebag on the left side, pull your side cover, and pull the 50 amp fuse. That fuse kills the power to everything on the bike. That way you won't short circuit anything, and you won't have your alarm doing crazy things. So bear with me. I'm going to get started here. I'm going to get that fuse pulled, and then we're going to start tearing everything down. And when we get ready to get in the nitty gritty of things, I'll go back to regular video. Alright everybody, let me show you what I've done so far. We've got the mirrors removed, have the turn signals removed. Just unplug your wires here, get them out of the way. Front fairing cover has been removed, windshield been removed. Now the next step that we're going to be doing, we're going to be pulling the gas tank off. You've got two wires here for your harness that you need to disconnect right here. Then this is your vapor line or overflow line from the tank. If you really wanted to, you could pull this side cover off and follow that down. This just goes straight down to the ground. Nifty little trick that I seen on another video, which made a lot of sense. Instead of fighting to get this thing back down in there, clip this line and then just use a T connector to put it back together. That way, if you ever have to pull a tank off again for whatever reason, it just simplifies that step. To remove the tank, you have two bolts here that are 1/2 inch. Pay mind that this here is a ground that I have specifically for an accessory that I have on, so you will not have this ground. I just want to point that out. Make sure if you do have any grounds anywhere that you put them back where you found them. And then on either side of the tank, we have these rubber covers here. You got one bolt right here. And then here on the other side, got another rubber cover. Pop it off and there's another bolt right there. So we're going to pull these 4 bolts off. Then once you do that, we have your fuel line. The fuel line's pretty easy. It sits right here. Looks like I might have to cut a zip tie here, but this is a quick release. All you have to do is push up on this sleeve and your fuel line will drop out. Right here, the sleeve pushes up, you push in just a little bit on the fuel line, and then that'll drop out of the way. You will lose a few drops of fuel, nothing serious. So if you want, keep from making a mess, just set you a rag down here or something. So I'm going to go on with that, and then once I get the tank off, I'll show you what comes next. Alright, now the tank is out of the way. You can clean anything up under here you need to find. Let's see, this is just some miscellaneous tags from the factory. Gives you a model number here. Alrighty, I guess I might hang on to these tags. I have no idea what they're for, but we'll hang on to them. This panel right here is going to become important here in just a little while. This is your fuel lines and brake line and clutch line. Once we get down to that, I'll show you. We're going to be pulling this cover off, modifying it just a little bit so that we can use the stock brake line. Alright, next thing we got to pull off is this inner lower fairing cover. There's a Torx bolt on either side. Once that slides out, you're going to disconnect your harness from these 2 switches. Then once we get that out of the way, then I can show you how to go about pulling the fairing loose. Alright, so now we got that out of the way. We've got to come up here. We need to locate the harnesses that go to our handlebars. You've got one right here. Unplug it. And you've got one up under here that has 2 plugs on it. Gonna unplug it. Alright, that's our 2 harnesses right there going to the control the handlebars for all your controls. Alright. This excess wire I've got in here for accessory plugs. Okay, now at this point, we're going to rock this fairing up and out of the way to where we can access the top of the handlebars. So you got to do is pull up on it, pull it forward, and that'll sit just like so. We'll come around here, and you can see we now have access to the top of our handlebars. So I'm going to have to go through now and start cutting some zip ties. Get all this out of the way, and we're going to see about pulling these controls loose. Alright, so now we've got all of our cables disconnected. If you have the heated grips, you're going to have a power feed for that, so make sure you get that disconnected all together. We have, it looks like, 3 different leads coming out from the internals of the handlebars, and then the other 2 coming down on either side. So make sure you got all those disconnected and free. So now we got to pull our controls off. It's going to be your T27 once again. This reset button here should just pop right out. There you go. That just pops off. Clutch lever and lay it out of the way. Make sure you don't scratch your paint. There's your rear cover. Pop that little clip and that'll come undone like so. Set this aside. Extract this once we get the bar off of here. This is your EV control with your sensor. Go to the other side here, get this side loose. to this side. Okay, now that we got that done, go up here to the handlebar clamp and remove your 4 screws from here. This is going to be a 1/4 inch Allen. And here we have the bars separated. Alright, so now we're going to change out these riser bushings while we're in here. The easiest way to break these loose is turn your fork one side to the other to gain access to your bolt here. Break your bolt loose. And I'd already done the other side, so I want to show you how this one's done. Break your bolt loose here. Put that aside. You see that moves that there loose. We'll make sure these are lined up. We're going to pull our handlebar back off. This one will come off with your bar. I've got my cables a little hung up here. We got a ground right there that's attached. Alright, pull our bar out of the way. Black tip. So we got a ground cable right here. Make sure you don't get that broke loose. Zip tie out of the way. A little bit easier to see. Pop that loose. Riser bushing. Gonna work the old one out. And we're gonna see if we can't get this other one to come out the bottom. Little taps. What you have to do is make sure you turn these forks enough to clear. And that'll drop right out of there, like so. So there's our old one. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to pull this sleeve out. We're going to reuse this sleeve with our new bushings. Alright, I want to show you the difference here between, this is the stock bushing, it's just rubber. Then here's polyurethane. These are drag specialties. They're a lot stiffer. You see there's ribs here. This helps take vibration out. But with the taller Ape Hanger, it's going to give you too much movement fore and aft when you pull on the bars. So we're going to go with the polyurethane. So what we're going to do is you're going to take your lower bushing. I'll put just a little bit of WD on there, or a little bit of lithium grease, something of that nature, so that's not going to attack this polyurethane. I'm going to slide it in to your triple tree from the bottom. Then we're going to put a little bit on this bushing. Then we're going to push this sleeve down inside that bushing that we just put in. It's flush with the bottom edge of the bushing. And I'm always knocking stuff over. Alright, and then we're going to put a little bit of WD onto the new bushing. I'm going to work it in on top of that sleeve. Then what you could do, use a soft hammer, like this one here. I've got a nylon one. I'm going to tap that bushing down onto that sleeve. This way it prevents the bushing from getting damaged. That bushing flush with the triple tree. Alright, so now, to make sure we got our alignment right, I'm going to get this bolt started. We're going to use our new washers. So one washer goes underneath and one on top. Make sure you don't pinch that ground. And get this bolt started. Make sure you don't cross thread it. Snug it up. We're going to grab our bars again. Granted, this is taking the old bars on and off a couple times, but just make sure I got those risers lined up before I put the new bars on. It's just my way of doing it. If you choose to do it a different way, so be it. This is just the way that I do it. This way you're not fighting with your alignment on your risers when you put them in. We'll snug these down. See, as I tighten these down, drawing the bars up, is lining up the risers down here where they need to be. Then we're going to grab our ratchet and we're going to tighten up the riser bolt. If you try to tighten these up without the bars being on there, you can't get them aligned. Oops, I go the right direction, huh? As you tighten these down, you're going to be compressing these bushings a little bit. It's going to stop on that sleeve. That way you still got some play in there. Like I said, I've already done the other side. It is a lot more stiff than the original bushings. It's going to be nice. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pull these bars back off, and then we're going to see about pulling the throttle by wire out and also our heater out and start getting the new ones wired in. Here, this is our throttle by wire. Run this in. See if we can get lucky and it'll feed through. Nope, we're going to have to pull it through. Alright. So what we'll have to do is we'll have to run this piece of wire or string, some of that nature, down through here so we can tie on to the end of our cables here and then pull them through. All right, everybody, everything's back on. Everything's tightened up. So far, everything works. Definitely a different look from stock. So these are the LA choppers, 14-inch Ape hangers. I got them through Dennis Kurt. Not that it had anything to do with this. I paid for everything out of my pocket. You can save yourself a lot of money just by doing this yourself. Thanks to the weather yesterday and whatnot, I had to stop. But this could easily be done in a day's time. The hardest part that I found is routing the wires through the bars. That's pretty much the worst of it. But other than that, I think it's well worth it. So now, since it's nice outside, I'm gonna gear up and go take her for a ride. All right, gang. Thanks for joining me on this little adventure. Hope it wasn't too screwy for you. It was my first time doing that on a Rushmore. Said I'm used to old school. If you would, leave me a like, share it with your friends, leave me a comment. Hope to see you next time. See you later. Graybeard.